yourself for the apocalypse.
Love you less when you come home. Never know what to do.
Hey everybody, Chief here. Thanks for checking out the latest video. If you haven't yet, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to turn on notifications so you know when I'm releasing more videos or going live with some War Robots gameplay. So, here we are. It is another test server. This is another round of testing using the Phantom and the Behemoth. It looks like there were some slight visual changes to both, and the biggest change of note is that the Phantom now has a medium hardpoint for mounting weapons. Previously it had 3 light weapons. Now it is 2 light and 1 medium, so that should increase its firepower just a tad and hopefully allow it to do a little bit better on the battlefield. So some of the other things I'm going to be testing today though, before I get into them, you notice here I am running machine guns, Punishers. I'm probably going to do 2 games for you guys. The first is going to be testing the Punishers and the Avengers. So with this test server, it is the first round of rebalancing. The things that are being rebalanced to focus on are the Avenger. The Avenger has slightly less firing rate. Basically, there's just a little bit more time, a split second longer in between each bullet. But its reload was reduced from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. So that is a big deal. And the same thing with the Punishers and Punisher Ts. While they didn't actually change the firing rate of them, they did decrease the reload time from 10 seconds to 8 seconds to match that of the Avenger, but they actually added a few more rounds to the magazine, so you'll be able to shoot a few more bullets out of them. We'll see if that's helpful. The other thing that I'm going to be testing in game number 2 is going to be the Tempest and the Molots and Molot Ts. Those received basically the same exact changes as the Punishers, Punisher T, and Avenger, with the only difference being on the Tempest, it's also decreasing its shot dispersion, so it should be slightly more accurate. The other thing that we're going to be taking a look at here is the Raven. The Raven is receiving a pretty good little buff, increasing its durability from 132,000 to 138,000. Its speed is also increasing from 46 to 49 kilometers per hour, and upon activating its ability, its jump, it receives 20% damage for 5 seconds. So basically its weapons will do an additional 20% damage for 5 seconds every time you jump. So that is pretty considerable buff, and we will take a look at that. So aside from that, the last thing that we're actually going to be looking at here is a brand new active module called Phase Shift. I did put out a video, was it yesterday or the day before? I don't quite remember, but I did mention the phase shift in it and talked a little bit about it. Basically, this is an active module. It is going to most likely cost about 20 power cells on the live server to activate, and when activated, your robot becomes immune to any damage, negative effects for 6 seconds. Okay, so it's kind of like a last stand, but instead of just being invulnerable to where, you know, the bullets hit you and don't do any damage, with the phase shift, you actually kind of go into a ghost-like state, and the bullets that people are shooting towards you will actually pass through you and hit whatever it is behind you. Might be a teammate, might be a wall, you never know. But it's basically making you immune for 6 seconds by allowing all damage to go through you. Now during this 6 seconds, you also cannot fire your weapons and you cannot heal allies. So one thing that I'm going to test here, and the reason why I am running this mender, is I want to see if during that 6 seconds I can heal myself. Because it does very specifically state that you cannot heal allies. So it's going to be interesting for me to test that. I don't know if you'll be allowed to or not allowed to, but we're going to find out. So that is it for the testing. Now I am going to move into the 2 games, and I will switch up. And please ignore the pitch black mender here. That is just a visual bug. Bugs happen all the time on the test server. That's why it's a test server. You know, this is one of those things that once I put the paint on the mender, he turned black instead of to look like the paint. So I'm not exactly sure why he is like that, but we'll just put his original skin back on him so we can see him, though the pitch black did look kind of cool. But yep, that's going to be it. So I will see you when the battle starts in game number 1. Okay guys, so here we are dropping in game number 1. It is Beacon Rush and it is on carrier. I am going to start off with the Phantom here just because I want to give him a little bit of a test. Now his speed is 60 kilometers per hour, but when he places his beacon, he then goes down to, or up to 90 kilometers per hour. So he is pretty quick. Now you'll notice some changes over there on the red team. You see 2 different colors on this person's health bar, and what that is that is actually their last stand. That tells me that he has a last stand. That is the visual change that was made to the last stand. And let me go ahead and use this phase shift here so I can get this beacon and nobody can shoot me. Now I'm going to teleport back to safety. There we go. So I was able to get that beacon. That's a pretty cool ability. Yeah, so that is the visual change, like I said, to the last stand. You can see that he has it when it's going to activate. So it's going to activate here. There it is. Now, once the last stand is finished, his health bar then gets a little bit lighter in color. Alright, so I used phase shift here because I wasn't sure if I was going to be hit. So I'm going to shoot this guy. I am actually hitting him. I don't know how much health he has though. I'm going to shoot him and we'll see how it is. Oh, okay, hit his last stand. And now 8-second reload on the Punishers. That is great. I'm going to go ahead and phase shift again. And it looks like he died. So let me go ahead and reclaim our beacon. Try to anyway. Alright, so here, I'm going to try to go after... Oh, there we go. Direct him. Ended up behind him. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to end up going down here though. I think, yep, my last stand triggered. He's jumping, and there we go. Okay, so I'm down. Not a big deal. Let me go ahead and drop my Behemoth over here and see what we can do. Now the Behemoth, I don't believe really received any changes other than, okay, activated his last stand. Go into all 4 weapons here. Okay, so that was a pretty cool animation that he had when he switched his weapons to show all 4. This guy wants to cause a little bit of chaos, so I'm going to phase shift. I'm going to try to get down to a point where I can shoot this guy. There we go. So I should be hitting him right now with the bullets, even though I don't have quantum radar. Go ahead and phase shift once again. That's going to keep me alive. Now I cannot fire while I am in that mode, but let's go ahead and go back up. I'm going to hit last stand here. Let's do as much damage to that Falcon as we can. Looks like I've got 2 Avengers firing now, 2 more in reload, the other should be coming up, and we should be able to do quite a bit of damage to him now. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to phase shift, move just a little bit here, and try to get some more damage, at least get their, okay, got his last stand to trigger. And should be able to take him out. Go ahead and go back into 4 weapons. Now it is pretty slow to switch, so I don't know if that's something that they changed. I would have to look at my video from the last test server, but this guy really packs a punch when when he's got all 4 weapons out. The Avengers don't really seem too bad as far as the firing rate change. They seem to be doing pretty well. Unfortunately, the pilot abilities weren't all loaded up for the Punishers and Avengers, so couldn't really test the pilot ability that has decreased shot grouping. And here we go. Switch stances and try and take this guy out at his last stand. Just gonna keep firing through it. Phase shift. Stay alive. Should be getting my weapons back here. Unfortunately, my side weapons blew off, so I'd have no weapons when I change my stance here. That's a little awkward. So looks like we are beating them. Let me go ahead and just change the robot because I want to test this mender. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to get in and take some damage, and I'm going to phase shift and try to heal. So let's see if I can get them to damage me, but unfortunately I think that is going to be... Oh, okay, there is 2 more left. Let me try to get up there and try and get some damage on this mender. I may have to run him again in another match if this ends, which it looks like it's probably going to end very shortly here. There we go. Okay, I'm going to phase shift, heal. Okay, so my healing pulse was working, but it doesn't look like it actually raised my health. So I would say, even though yes, I can activate it, it appears as though it didn't actually apply any healing to me. So that's one thing that we can check off our testing list, and we'll see how we did on that battle. Okay. Bottom of the barrel. That's, yeah, what happens sometimes. I'm concentrating a little bit more on the testing than I am on doing damage. Plus, you know, that ended up being a relatively short match. But I am going to make some weapon changes, and I will see you guys in the next match. Okay guys, so here we are dropping into game number 2. This is a game of domination, and the only changes I made to my lineup was switching out all the Punishers and Punisher Ts for Molot and changing the Avengers for the Tempest. Now here I am, I'm starting off with this Raven, and that's because I didn't get a chance to okay, so I should have probably used my phase shift as soon as he used Death Mark on me. It's kind of an interesting tactic he's using. Loki here, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get some damage on him over here. Just jump straight up. That's going to... Alright, so I was able to use phase shift to avoid the guy shooting me in the air, which was good. But looks like I'm probably going to be getting taken out here by a Loki of all things. And that's okay. I'm going to move over here to my Behemoth. Now that Raven it's kind of interesting. When he jumps, it feels slightly different than the ones on the live server. Maybe he's floating a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's definitely some kind of an adjustment to his actual jump was made. And it's kind of something to keep in mind is that he also got that 20% damage bonus. Phase shift. Alright, so I was able to completely avoid the the guy shooting me with traps, which was pretty good. Trying to get this. Okay, he's taken out finally. So it's not really a good spot for me. Let me go ahead and make an adjustment over here. Alright, so let me get set up. I do have 800 meters range here. These do seem to be doing decent damage. The firing on them is a little bit slower than I think I would prefer. I don't know if I would go into battle with something that's firing this slow. Even on its accelerated rate, it's noticeably slower. So I think xCHIEFx is going to have to kind of make some kind of an adjustment here. Maybe instead of slowing it down, maybe they need to do something similar that they did with the Molots and the other things. The Punishers, where they just add rounds to the magazine, so you actually have more ammo that you're shooting at the faster rate, because this is just kind of ridiculously slow. But here we are. I am able to take him out. Go ahead and finish these off so I can start my reload, and I'm going to reposition. Probably going to let them take me out here. Let me just get some. Alright. They death marked me, but once again, phase shift countered the death mark, which is pretty good. But I'm going to end up going down anyway. Alright. Let me go ahead and run with the Phantom now. The Phantom here is running the Molots and the Molots. Definitely not something that I would run with it, but so I'm just going to kind of reposition. And I am going to set another beacon back here. Go. Safety. Come over here and start doing some damage. Alright, so I did phase shift to avoid taking additional damage, and then I teleported back to my safe spot. That's pretty cool to be able to do that. This robot, I think, is going to have a lot of great tricks if it goes to the live server. Go ahead and have for safety. Not going to be able to do much damage here. I'm going to go to my last stand. Last stand triggered. I'm going to then go with phase shift and teleport back. There we go. So you see here, I am still using phase shift. Phase shift is good for 6 seconds. My last stand was maxed out, so that was 4.5 seconds. So that's it's nearly 11 seconds of invulnerability. That might be a little bit too much, in my opinion, but it's definitely an option that some players, that couldn't afford last stand might use, because it is very similar. Teleport back here. Okay, his last stand is triggered. Find a safe spot. There. Doing some damage to the invader. I'm gonna end up going down here. I'm gonna go ahead and let the robot die. There we go. And let me go ahead and just jump up with the Aojun. Nothing special or testing on the Aojun. It is strictly just to play. And let me see if I can get a death mark. Okay, ooh, that's not good. He hit from me. So I kind of wasted part of my death mark there. Reload here and go back in and have death mark in 2 star. No, it's available now. As long as I don't get taken down here. Okay, my last stand has triggered. There we go, so we death marked him and shooting him. That's a pretty deadly combination. Looks like he's counter healing also, but he is going to go down with one more hit here. And he's down. The other dragon here, death marked, and he is gone. Alright, so looks like the Reds are running out of robots. But I think we did get some decent testing. You could at least kind of take a look at some of the changes that have occurred. I'm not too sure. I'm happy with the changes that are made with the Molots and the Avengers, and the reason being is it's intended to be a buff, I believe, and it is most certainly more of a nerf in actual play. But okay, so there we go. That is the second match. We'll take a quick look at the scorecard. I did a little bit better. I had a little less time actually testing because I kind of already knew how the phase shift was going to work. Looks like I was able to, do some things with that. It might end up being a little bit OP, I think, for some players using it in combination with a last stand, but we'll see. This is just testing. And I will give my feedback and put my own concerns. If any of you have any feedback or concerns over anything you saw in this video, please let me know in the comments below, and I will do my best to pass those on directly to Pixonic. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for the testing here. Now, just a quick review. We took a look at the changes to the Punishers and the Molots. They decreased the reload from 10 to 8 seconds. That is pretty nice in and of itself, and they added more ammo to the magazines for those weapons, which is, I think, overall a good buff. I don't know if it's enough to make them viable, but in upper leagues anyway, but it is kind of nice to see him getting a little bit of love. Now the Avenger and the Tempest, yeah, that's way too slow firing, noticeably, and so I think it was intended to kind of give them a little bit of a buff, with a decreased reload timer, but when they're firing so slow that it's just there's no point. So I will give them feedback on that. Let me know what you guys think also on the changes to Avenger and Tempest. Now the phase shift, interesting concept. It's kind of a cool idea. In some ways, it's almost kind of how I think Last Stand should have been. But anyway, it's a new module. We're testing it out. We'll see what adjustments get made to it on the next test server. And then of course, the Phantom and the Behemoth. The Behemoth, he's a lot of fun. He's still really slow. I think when he goes into his stationary mode, he definitely needs some kind of a damage resistance because he's just a big, fat, juicy silver target. I do like the animation changes to it. Yeah, they need to do something to help his survivability. Otherwise, he's not really going to be too useful. The Phantom, that is a really fun bot to play. There are so many different things you can do with its ability. I do like that they increased its damage slightly by giving it a medium weapon, but overall, I'm not too sure. You know, it's such a different ability when you compare it to other things. There are definitely ways that you know, I think people might be able to abuse it. But you know, we'll kind of wait and see. We'll just continue with the testing, and I will bring you more info as I get it. So that's going to be it for the videos, guys. I appreciate you all watching. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. Also, if you liked any of the information on this video, go ahead and hit that like button as well. It really helps me out, and the more likes I get, the better the chance of other people seeing the video and getting the same useful information. So until next time, guys, Chief out.
The apocalypse.